I welcome you to another edition of the Arena. It is the midweek edition. More importantly, it is one to watch out for as we continue our countdown to Nigeria's crucial playoffs two-legged affair, it must be said. Friday, 25th of March, they will be squaring out against the Black Stars of Ghana, and that will be taking place in Kumasi with the return leg next week, Tuesday. That's on the 29th of March here in Abuja, and whoever wins over two legs will definitely be representing Africa at the Qatar World Cup, which is the very first in Middle East. It's all about the Golden State Warriors losing once again to the Orlando Magic by 94 to 90 points. This was another match wherein Steph Curry, the talisman for the Warriors, had to sit back as he couldn't play due to the foot injury he's nursing. And this is the second worst team in the Eastern Conference, and to pull off a victory over the Warriors, who are third when it comes to the Western Conference standing, is simply shocking. And the performance by the Golden State Warriors is nothing to write home about. It is their third successive loss, even as the regular season winds down, and we look forward to the playoffs, which begins on the 16th of April. The match itself had Jordan Poole score 26 points for the Warriors. You also had Klay Thompson, that's one of the Splash brother, contributing 15 points, but that wasn't enough despite Potter also contributing 14 points as the Magic ran out 94 to 90 points winners, as I said earlier. And for the Warriors, it's definitely not a good run into the playoffs where the real or the competitiveness of the game itself begins. Remember, it's all about the playoff, and right now, if the standings are still what it is, you'll have the Warriors facing a very stern test in the Denver Nuggets. So they need to get their acts together. Let's see how they can do that. Now, moving on from the Warriors, now let's talk about the Nuggets. I talked about the Denver Nuggets. They are sixth when it comes to the Western Conference standings, and are in good position to face the Warriors, just as I said earlier. They played against the Los Angeles Clippers, and that was a victory for them, 127 to 115 points, with the reigning MVP of the team, talking about Nikola Jokic, scoring 30 points and having 15 rebounds, even as he bounced back from his miserable outing the last time out. So it's the Nuggets getting a win in there. They start the season with 43 wins and 30 losses, and are sitting sixth, as I said earlier, when it comes to the Western Conference standings. For the Clippers, the loss marked 36 wins and 38 losses to the start of the season for them, and they are rooted in the 8th position, which is the play-in spot. Remember, you now have the play-in tournament. So the Clippers are 8th there. You had Terrence Mann getting 24 points, Morris as well as Covington scoring 14 points each, but that wasn't enough as the Nuggets ran out winners when it comes to the tie. So it's looking signed, sealed, and delivered when it comes to the Clippers playing in the playing spots rather than the playoffs, as the Nuggets have 6 games up, and that should just be enough when it comes to the Western Conference. Now let's move away from the Western Conference and delve into the Eastern Conference. It's all about the reigning champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes, you had Giannis Antetokounmpo getting back into the lineup and then leading the Bucks to victory over the Chicago Bulls, and he didn't do it alone. He had 25 points in there and 17 rebounds, and he got assist from Jrue Holiday, who scored 27 points. He top scored in the game itself with 27 points as well. I think the good news for the Bucks in the game itself is the fact that they have their 7-foot center back, talking about Brooks Lopez. He scored 10 points on his return. This is just the second match of the season. Remember, apart from the season opener, he sustained a back injury that required surgery, and he missed 6 to 7 games on the trot. So the good news for the Bucks is you have Brooks Lopez back in the team, and his return is definitely a good one, even as the Bucks are trying to ensure that they repeat when it comes to defending their NBA title. For the Bucks, that's they are second when it comes to the Eastern Conference standing, with 45 wins and 27 losses to the season. But for the Chicago Bulls, they're still fifth when it comes to Eastern Conference standing, with 42 wins and 30 losses. Nikola Vucevic was the one who scored for them with 24 points, but that wasn't enough as they got rolled over by the Bucks. And you have to give credit to the Bucks, who are doing all they can to ensure that they repeat the title defense they won last year. Now let's move away from that to the world of tennis, and we'll have to start with a shocking one. It's all about the world number one when it comes to WTA, that's the women's tour. Ashley Barty, the reigning champion of the Australian Open, which she won barely 2 months ago, dropped a shocker on social media yesterday when she announced her retirement from the sport. In 2014, it must be said that the Australian took a break from tennis at the time, citing its intense demands and she, among other things in terms of well-being. And she had to play cricket during that break from tennis. She played in the inaugural season of cricket's Women Big Bash League. But she made a return to the sport and, played so well, won the French Open, won the Wimbledon title, which you can see on your screen. And that was just last year, winning Wimbledon. And this year, she began this the season by winning her home slam, which is the Australian Open title, becoming the first woman in over 44 years to win the Australian Open. Talking about it, an Australian woman winning the title. So and the announcement of her retirement is definitely a shock when it comes to the world of tennis, as she's just 25 years old, and there's still so much for her to contribute to the sport. She is, well, was now because she has retired. So at the time she was active, she was just the second only active player to have won on all three surfaces. That's talking about clay, grass, as well as hard court. The other woman is Serena Williams. So you have Ashley Barty retiring from tennis, having won 3 Grand Slams in terms of the singles, which is the French Open, Wimbledon, and Australian Open. But in terms of doubles, she won the 2018 US Open doubles title alongside Coco van der Weer. So she has won all 4 slams, it must be said, when it comes to a clean calendar sweep. It's just that the US Open triumph was in the doubles and not in the singles. We wish her the very best. You've had our counterparts sending messages of love and warmth to her. Well wishes, it must be said. Ashley Barty is well loved on the tour, and she's one of the players that every other player looks up to, despite being 25 years of age. So we wish her the very best, and let's see what she delves into next. It could be cricket. She has a passion for that. It could also be golf. You never can tell. Still talking tennis now. Let's talk about world number 3 in the men's category. That's the ATP Tour. Rafael Nadal has been sidelined for 6 weeks, and that's due to a rib injury. He suffered a stress fracture of his rib when he was playing in the semi-final against Carlos Alcaraz in the Indian Wells tournament, which finished last weekend. Remember, Nadal got to the final but couldn't extend his winning run to 21 matches as he lost to Taylor Fritz of America in the final of Indian Wells. And during the semi-final match, he suffered a stress fracture of his rib, had difficulties breathing, and it was also nursing foot injury. And all of these things are just signs that the great Nadal is at the twilight of his career. But he has started the 2022 season on fire, having won the Australian Open and also strong a 20-match winning streak. So it will be missed on the tour. It will definitely miss the Monte Carlo Masters taking place next month. It will miss Miami Masters, which is set to begin next week as well as the Barcelona Open. His return should be when the Madrid Open would commence, and let's see if he will be fit enough to participate at the French Open, which starts on the 22nd of May, where he is a 13-time champion. And now let's move away from there and delve into a controversial character, and this time around it's about Kamila Valieva. Now that name rings a bell, and that's because the figure skater was embroiled in a doping scandal at the just concluded Winter Olympic Games, which took place in Beijing Olympics. The 15-year-old Russian was found to have tested positive of a banned substance. And remember, the International Olympic Committee, as well as the World Anti-Doping Agencies, in fact, every lover of sports had a thing or two to say. There were concerns regards our entourage and those around her, because a 15-year-old cannot just deliberately spike herself or her body system. She would definitely have support from the elderly ones around her, like a coaching crew, a physiotherapist, among others, who will probably, give her those banned substances to use. Well, the latest about Valieva is that she's returning to competition, or she's returning to, competitive action, and that's as a result of the tournament that will begin in Russia today. And that's a tournament called Channel One Cup. It's taking place in Saransk, and that's in Russia. Now, this coincides with the World Championships as well, which starts today, Wednesday. and will end on Friday. That's taking place in France. But as you know, the world of sports have, most sports, let me put it that way, most sports have banned Russian and Belarusian athletes from competing, or either, if not an outright ban, sometimes it is a ban in terms of nationality, and they are expected to compete as neutrals. But in this case, she has been banned from competing at the World Championship. So she'll be competing at the Channel One Cup in Sarang, and let's see if she'll be able to get back to winning ways. She didn't perform well during the Beijing Winter Olympics, and that's due to the scandal that erupted. So we hope that the 15-year-old is able to get the right people around and get the necessary support as well, because a 15-year-old cannot have direct access to banned substances and also Spike herself. She definitely has a group of adults around her who are putting her on the wrong path. Hopefully she gets onto the right path as quickly as possible.